Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Spectrum podcast, a show that is brought to you from Bloom Garden Schools, which is a leading institution for learning, therapy, and the care for children with autism.
When you talk about repetitive or restrictive behaviors, these are behaviors that somebody or a client in the spectrum will do them to maybe communicate, tell you maybe at the time what they're feeling or what the environment is impacting. Wherever they are they comfortable?
This kid loves this thing. So for me to make sure that this kid doesn't just love this kid, like I'm trying to remove the love of A by replacing with the love of B, I try to make sure that I bring B to an to be in the same equilibrium with A.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Spectrum podcast, a show that is brought to you from Bloom Garden Schools, which is a leading institution for learning, therapy, and the care for children with autism. So today, yet again, we are here with my wonderful colleagues who are here to just help us explore this entire topic of restricted repetitive behaviors and what it all entails when it comes to autism. I hope you guys are excited to be here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and without a doubt, you'll allow me to just allow them to introduce themselves so we can get right into it from my immediate left.
Hello everyone, my name is Derek Kinyari. I'm a special needs educator here at Bloom Garden School. Thank you all for having me.
Karibu sana.
Hello, my name is Dr. Vivian Okuthe, but you can call me Okuthe V. I'm a psychologist by profession. I'm at Bloom Garden International Schools. I'm a speech and language therapist and also a psychoeducator. Yes, and I'm happy to be here today.
Wow. That's amazing. It's an honor to have you. Karibu sana, Madam Vivian. Yes.
And I'm Kelvin Giwa, a special needs teacher and ICT too. The principal of Bloom Garden Vocational Training Center, located at Kileleshwa, Nyeri Road, opposite Trinity Catholic Church. Yes.
Wow, that is amazing. It's quite an honor to have all of you. And to our viewers, if you can actually notice today, we actually have the entire Bloom here. It's quite an honor as well. Once more, I am Nyawade Ronald. I'm an occupational therapist. I work here at the headquarters at Bloom Garden Autism Academy, and it's a joy to be doing this with you. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please feel free to do so. Like, comment, and with that, we'll be able to continue growing even as we continue expanding our knowledge on autism and how we can actually take good care of our kids who are on the spectrum as well. So you guys mentioned you're from the different schools. I think it is a good place for us to be able to just start. What happens? Why are we having 3 schools in one umbrella? If you do not mind, I know at Bloom Garden Autism Academy, now that I am from this particular center, we basically major on a lot of early identification and intervention so that we are able to identify what strengths our kids possess, and with that we're able to nurture that even as we continue allowing them to be able to learn more and more. But apart from that, we know we have a lot of occupational therapy that comes into play just to help them with any sensory processing issues, just to help them with the training that is required with the activities of daily living, the basic skills they require even as they start their learning journey, and all that entails with early identification and intervention as well. So I don't know what happens different in BJS, if I may call it that way. That's Bloom Garden International School. You guys could help me probably understand, or also help our viewers just understand the difference and what happens there.
Okay, I'll say something. For one, persons in the spectrum, there are 3 levels.
Yes.
Yeah, there's level 1, level 2, and level 3. Given that level 1 is at the topmost, the one where the autism is way severe. The level 2 is thereabouts, and then the level 3. The ones that are high functioning. Yeah. So at BGIS, we have the clients, or we have students who are mostly are a bit high functional and more of level 2. So these are the guys who can sit down, they can learn, they can take in exams, of course, with a bit of guide here and there. So at Bloom Garden International School, we have the ones who are able to, like, their level of understanding is way better than let's say a level 1 child or a client who is in the spectrum. Yes.
Yeah. Does that mean then the expectation would be that majority of your kids will be between the mild and moderate level of the spectrum on your end? I don't know, Mr. Derek. With that said, do you guys like follow a particular structure in how you teach kids, or you take them through the education, or what exactly happens there?
Yeah, sure. I think actually what we do at BGIS is that we have a curriculum that we follow. So everything is structured, and we have a curriculum that is well laid out, and that is what we use for learners.
Wow, I think that is amazing. And possibly because today's episode is not about just our schools, feel free to visit our school. The Bloomgate International School is just at Kileleshwa. The exact location is Gatundu Road. Yeah, exactly, Gatundu Road. And yes, again, today we are here with the principal of our Bloom Garden Vocational Training Center. What happens now? Parents, most people would ask, is it possible for an autistic child to be able to go through any curriculum, gain any skills in life, be able to do anything in their life? Is it possible?
Yeah, actually, it is very, very, very possible. Underline and bold it, very possible. Because at Bloom Garden Schools, specifically Bloom Garden Vocational Training Center, we nicknamed it the university. Reason being is that it is a place where all students, it doesn't matter the type of disability, the severity of the disability, there's something for each learner, whereby we offer different courses depending with the level and skill level of the learner, and the interest of the learner. This time around, we just say that it's going to be different from any other school. What we do is that we give this learner a chance to pick what he loves, and that goes with the skill level of this learner. For example, we have computer, whereby in computer you have computer application, then you have computer operator 1, 2, 3, offered by NITA, because our school is or recognized by the government. It is examined by the two government bodies, that is the NITA and the TVET. So when you walk in, you know that the certificate your kid is going to go home with is a recognized certificate. Exactly, accredited, my friend. Now, what we do, we don't offer just computer application and the operators, we also do graphic designs. That is graphic design 3, 2, 4. Then we also offer tailoring and fashion design. We also do housekeeping and accommodation, of course. Then we have food and beverage service, that is the waiter part. Then we have food and beverage production, that is the culinary art, the cooking part. Now, the presentation of your meals, matters a lot. Then apart from that, we have the hairdressing, that is level 3, 4, 5. We have beauty therapy, level 3, 4, 5. If you also want to learn sign language, you are welcome to do it. You can come and learn sign language. Come and do hello, how are you? It's easier so that you know how to communicate with the HI students or HI people. Because where we live now, we live in an inclusive environment, inclusive community. We have to accept everyone, and it's us to adapt, because they've already adapted. Yes. And again, in our vocational center, we offer what is called independent living, self-management. We make sure that when a learner is leaving the institution, he's not just carrying the paper. He's going home with a skill. Whereby we make sure that this time around, the learner is not going to sit at home with the papers the way our university do. But what you're going to do is the skill that the learner has achieved in our institution is first tested by being given an industrial internship. Like as I'm speaking now, we just did our first internship. We just enrolled it out, and it was amazing. To an extent that even the hotel that we went to have accepted to at least retain 2 of our students. So it is great. It is working. As I said, as I started, I said that it is going to be different. You're not going home with the paper, but you're going home with the skills, and making sure that you're going home when your pocket is full, independently. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Principal, if you may allow me to call you that. And that is quite some good work being done there. I think it's good to note that we've had students do exams and get out there and try to put their skills into practice. And that speaks it all on what our motto is, that we are letting a million of flowers bloom. That is the message, and I really love it. Now, back to the main topic of today's probably discussion, because we can't get to wherever they are speaking, whatever they're speaking about, if we do not look at what are we dealing with at the end of the day. So for our viewers, if you've been keen enough, you have noticed that throughout time we have been able to look at what is autism really, and then we went on to just discuss what causes autism. And then we have been able to also look at the sensory processing issues that are actually related to autism and how to go about that. And today here we are. We cannot go away without speaking about how restrictive repetitive behaviors are quite something that you'll be able to see. These are things when you look at a child, you clearly can say, what is he doing? But you can only understand if you know what those things are. And a good place for us to start is the place of behavior. I don't know what comes in your mind when you hear the word behavior. Because before you think about a restrictive behavior and a repetitive behavior, any of us can just help us get to understand that.
Well, I think when I hear about a behavior, it's, let me put it in simple words, is the way someone conducts himself in reaction to a certain stimuli or a certain thing that is happening in his environment. So it's just a reaction towards something that is happening in his environment. Yes.
Wow, amazing! That is awesome. And I think attaching to whatever you said, the reaction, and also something that came out in the previous episode, that in most autistic kids, behavior would be a form of communication.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know that is where we are going. We are going to, and now to you, Madam Vivian. Now we are talking about restrictive, repetitive behaviors, and someone is out there thinking it out loud. What do you mean? Is it different from a normal child? Where do I bring the sense? How do I connect the two things together?
What I can say when we're talking about restrictive behaviors, these are behaviors that, okay, I'm speaking in the context of people in the spectrum, yeah? When you talk about repetitive or restrictive behaviors, these are behaviors that somebody or a client in the spectrum will do them to maybe communicate, tell you maybe at the time what they're feeling or what the environment is impacting. Wherever they are they comfortable? Yeah, whatever he or she wants, is it what he or she wants at that time? Yeah. So when it comes to repetitive behavior, these are behavior that somebody does, that it's normal to them. It's a way, it's their daily life, it's their daily way of communicating and giving you, like, this is what I am, or this is what I want at this particular time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why repetitive though?
Well, communicate. That is how they communicate. Yeah. For instance, I would say examples of those repetitive behaviors like flapping or clapping. So at that time, maybe the client is telling you, or the person expecting is telling you, like, I'm happy. So when I'm doing this, yeah, I'm telling you, maybe I'm happy to see you, or maybe when I'm turning around, I'm happy to like be in this environment, or when I'm crying. When I'm this particular person, I'm not comfortable with this person. Yes. Okay. So it's just a means or a way of communication. Yes.
Wow. And that explains it in terms of there is an effect. There's a reason as to why I'm doing this and that. I don't know if there is any other reason as to why a child would have a restricted repetitive behaviors as far as the spectrum is concerned, that we would love to also just add on that. Yeah.
Repetitive behavior, it can either be negative or positive, because it depends with that moment, what happened at that moment. Yes, because when we say positive, the way the doctor said, it's positive. It shows happiness, the emotions.
Yeah.
So when you talk of negative, maybe something bad has happened, or this kid does not want something. They also showcase that emotion. You see them jumping around, you hit their head, cry, that shouting. Those are negative part of it. So there's usually negative and positive. So it is up to that educator to differentiate. Is this positive or is this negative? So in short, it's just a communication. Yeah, because most of them, remember, do not have speech. And for the few who have speech, tend to utter some words repetitively. Like, for example, they may even say just a regular word, like even just say a name, Waidera, 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 Waidera. They just shout with it. So you have to differentiate, was it positive or negative, by first looking at what happened, what triggered this behavior. Yes.
In addition to that, I would say that it creates a rigidity to them, even allowing them to change in the environment.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I would say it's advantageous to them. Yes, it's a communication to us to know XYZ is happening to this person, but now it restricts them to how they can adapt to other environments or other kinds of changes. Yes.
Oh, nice. Derek, you look like you wanted to say something before
Yes,
that.
I actually wanted to add on repetitive behaviors.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that they are behaviors that they are not going to occur once. They are going to
Oh, yeah.
They are going to come up not once, not twice, but they'll be there. And now, because they are trying to communicate, like my colleague Giwa said, they may be trying to communicate a positive information to us or maybe a negative.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's also again about their sensory issues. Yeah, so if they need some sensory input, they could display such behaviors.
Yeah.
So
Every time you mention sensory, it comes way more home to my heart. But that was a good point to just also note. When you said about communication, it might be a sensory issue that is presenting here. Must be very repetitive to try and either pass a positive or a negative feedback to you. So it's up to you to be able to know what is this, and now how do I figure out from this point where when it is positive, or how do I go when it is negative?
yeah. And one thing, Ron, I'd like to mention about behaviors, even for people out of the spectrum, is that each and every behavior has like a root cause.
Yeah.
So it's up to us, people who are handling these special learners, to identify the root cause before starting dealing with it.
Yeah.
Behavior.
Wow, that is awesome. Because we tend to, at some points, we tend to think about the repetitive behaviors in autism so rigidly. So we are not even keen to know why it actually happened.
We're actually judging and being so harsh to them, and sometimes it frustrates us. So we really need to get down to the root cause.
Wow, I love that.
Don't forget, some just do it for fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun. Try to find the root cause, and then you realize this was just fun. Because remember, for the students who are in this spectrum, they're visual learners. So when they're visual learners, they tend to copy exactly what is happening in the immediate environment. Then you realize the second thing about our learners, those kind of people tend to study the tutors. They study people around them. They want to manipulate and make sure there's that sense of control that they want to have. So you see, when they depict this behavior, there's that sense of control. They want to see how are you going to react? What will be your reaction? So when they do this, what you do matters.
Yeah. And whatever Giwa you mentioned, that the students who might do it for fun, again brings us back to the point of, then where did this come from? Again, because someone might be doing it for fun, but this behavior has been entertained for quite some time, and it is so a very negative behavior that can actually cause harm. So the positive ones might be good. I'm doing them for fun, and I'm doing it as a regulation thing for me as a child in the spectrum. But some might do some of those things, and they are very bad and dangerous to the other kids around them. That is why it is important for us to be able to note that. Somebody is looking out there for, what are some of these examples of things you'd observe? What are some of these repetitive behaviors I would see in a child with autism? Are there things we can say that they would manifest this way or that way, so that when we see these, we are able to say maybe they're in the spectrum and they may need more help?
For one, I would say note that repetitive behaviors are self-soothing, but restrictive behaviors are strict routines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to repetitive behaviors, I would say examples are those like clapping, flapping, maybe knocking the head, rocking. Yeah. But when it comes to restrictive behaviors, if I don't wake up at 7, it's a problem. Yeah. If you don't give me lunch by 1, it's a problem.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So when it comes to restrictive behavior, they're strictly following a routine that if you disrupt, then I'm going to show you or express to you that hey, there's something that it's wrong, and by showing it, now I'll start maybe rocking or hitting my head. Yeah. So there's that correlation. Yes.
You just reminded me of how there are parents who would say, I stopped giving him a morning kiss every morning, and he throws tantrums the entire day. Yeah, so that happens a lot of time. A simple change in routine
disrupts everything. The whole day, in fact. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Derek.
Yeah, I also like to add about restrictive behavior, and I'd say it's a kind of behavior that limits a person in the spectrum to a given circle, that he only wants to behave the same way for a very long time, and he doesn't want to explore other avenues of.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I would love to see how we counter that when it comes to the intervention bit of it all. You have something here.
Terry talked of the restrictive behavior. It's like you are having an OCD. So when you ask the question like how to identify if this kid is in the spectrum, you're saying the repetitive behavior. But remember, even in bracket the typical ones, sometimes they do some of these things. Yeah. So I don't think we will just use the restrictive behavior, restricted repetitive behavior, or any other kind of behavior just to do an assessment and say, it's called an observation. It's called observation. You do an observation and say this kid is in the spectrum. They will be saying everybody is in the spectrum. Yeah. So it is the OCD is there in the spectrum, but not everybody, not all the autistic kids have OCD. Yeah. Even us. Yeah. We do have OCD.
That makes me want to remind our viewers that for us we do not rule out autism. We are not doing this to give you the opportunity to carry out a diagnosis. So you walk around and you're like, this guy is autistic. We are not giving you the liberty to do that. Us is to give you the knowledge based on both experience and the knowledge you have from the school and research about autism. And again, just to remind you that an assessment for autism is quite comprehensive. Before a neurologist tells you that this child is actually autistic, they have to look at quite a number of things, some which you have been able to address in our previous episodes. But yes, if you think your child might be on the spectrum, it's good to just go and get that diagnosed by a qualified neurologist or a developmental expert. Those are permitted to be able to do that. But you mentioned OCD. That takes us back to OCD. It's always a huge thing. A parent would come with a child and tell you, I was told the child has autism. But no, me, I don't think. I think it's entirely OCD. Yeah. So how do we differentiate between OCD and autism? They're totally different things. Yeah.
When you talk of autism and OCD, they're different, but sometimes they marry. A child may have the both, or a child may just depict one.
You might have it in terms of presentation.
Exactly. And one, sometimes a child may have it just to protect himself. They just want for protection.
A sense of security.
Exactly. Yeah. So you realize OCD is kind of a routine, whereby I'm supposed to do this thing, the way Dr. was saying, I'm supposed to do this thing like this. If this ball is supposed to be kept here, this way is supposed to be. Don't remove it, keep it there. If my house is supposed to be clean, always keep it clean. So realize that those students now put OCD aside, come to autism. Autism, now here you realize that there's this kind of involuntary movement in them. It just comes. You will just shout from nowhere. He's just seated watching TV. This kid just shout. We call it as a stereotypic kind of behavior.
Yes.
That's the difference between OCD and, because this one is involuntary,
Yes.
but this one is a routine. It's something you just have to do. You can't change.
Yeah.
So Ron,
Yes.
I think what Eva is trying to say is that mostly these repetitive and restrictive behaviors can manifest themselves in OCD.
Yeah.
And when they do in OCD, they're actually addressing the fears and the anxiety that a person has. But when they manifest themselves in autism, they are trying to suit the person to make him fit in the environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're making it look like a reality. It's so unfair to put both of them together.
You can say so, because when it comes to OCD, it's intrusive.
Yeah.
Yes, it is something that you have to do. If you don't do it, you'll not be okay. But now, when you talk about this person in the spectrum, this is something that it's inbuilt. Yeah, the flapping, he cannot avoid it, or she cannot avoid it. Yes, it is so involuntary the way Mr. Giwa said it. Yes.
Have you ever found a child has arranged their shoes in a particular order, and you try to change the position of one shoe? What happens?
The child will shout. The child will throw temper tantrums, will hit themselves on the ground. Then it be frustration.
Yes.
You'll feel it for the child. Like, just removing the shoes has caused all this. Yeah.
So how do you argue
Actually, I
out?
have a
How do you illustrate to a parent that who is very strict and saying this is OCD, it is not autism? How do you guys approach that?
Well, before we even get there, I'd like to give an example where we had a learner who used to be picked up from school using the school van. And then this one day, the parent comes and wants to pick the learner. The learner was...
And it's actually the
a
parent.
issue. The learner didn't even want to get into the car of the parent. So the parent was like, but it's my son. Why is he denying me? But
I mean, I'm so used to a routine that is.
It's a routine.
You know, in my practice of, and especially in this environment, I have come to draw quite a very clear line by us understanding and striving to force out things. So you see, some of the things that most parents need to be able to do is to understand, why is this happening? Like, you see, have you first of all understood that this is actually autism I am dealing with? And then, what is autism? How does it manifest?
How does it show itself?
Exactly. Because if it's parents who can understand that quite well, then they might somehow understand it in that particular manner. If the parent does not understand it that way, then they may start bringing other issues. Probably, what do you guys do in the school van? How good is the school van as compared? Or many other explanations. Wow. Vivian, how do you approach a parent who, again, we know sometimes when a parent gets the diagnosis that my child is autistic, at times it's quite hard for most of them. And a parent who comes and says, the only presentation I see are restricted repetitive behaviors, which to me, I feel, they might not say the term I have used. They might come and say he or she usually does his things this way in a particular manner. He's a perfectionist. He loves things being done this way. So I don't think it's autism anymore, but I think it's OCD. How would you go about that?
Number one is helping them accept that this is what autism is, and this is what is being projected out from your child. Yes. Number two is psychoeducate this parent. Let them know, like, this is what the spectrum is, this is what it looks like, this is how it manifests, and maybe give example the way it is within the child. Give him or her a difference of, this is the spectrum, and this is how the OCD comes. And you can even ask him or her, like, do you use the same route every day going to work, or do you mind using a different route? He or she will go like, I go through Gatundu and that's it. And that is like a routine, and that is our term is as an OCD. right? If you're not comfortable maybe using another route, and you always come January to January, this is where you go, or this is the route that you use, then I'll term you as having an OCD in this manner. But then again, if your child is making these voices, if your child is whenever you give him or her chapati, they would like or tossing it up, or just screaming, that at least from that the parent or the client will understand, like, honestly, my child is in the spectrum. Yes, apart from maybe psychoeducation and all that, the way you would say, it is good, it is wise for a parent to always approach a neurologist, so that they do a comprehensive assessment of your child, so that also you get to know, oh yeah, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and this is what I've been told, and this is the experience that, oh yes, this is the experience that I've been having with the child for this period of time. Yes.
Wow, I think that is amazing, because many parents who would come in that form in many circumstances, there be a lot of denial, there will be a lot of, and I think the society has for some time been a bit harsh to parents with children with autism, and that is why we are here to just try and illustrate that there is actually much more beyond just the diagnosis. I almost say that the next thing I might do immediately after they have seen you is to send them to Giwa, so that Giwa can give more practical examples of the potentials that we've been able to see, and the children on the spectrum being able to do things with their lives, gain skills, and become productive members of the society.
Beyond the spectrum.
Beyond the spectrum,
Yes.
it is. Yeah. Wow. That puts me to the next segment of all these.
Yes.
Are we able to manage restrictive repetitive behaviors? Are we able to, can it end? Can you guys bring it to a stop? I mean, can you just stop it up? I mean, is it possible?
Giwa, how do you do it at your
It is
institution?
possible. You can manage this.
No.
It is okay. It is very possible to manage this behavior.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can't be managed.
Yeah.
If you learn how to drive a vehicle, you can manage a child.
If
just a
if
child.
actually you can manage, then it means it can go away.
Not
It can
really.
fade.
It can go away.
It can go away, not 100%.
Okay.
Yes, let's say it's like that, or 99.9%. Yes. So, how do you manage this? That's the most important question. How do you manage the repetitive behavior? You've seen it. Now, bring it to. We manage it fast as we squeeze it. And squeeze it to an extent that we have that 99.9, then later you achieve it 100%. So one of the things is you look for an alternative. Yeah. This kid loves this thing. So for me to make sure that this kid doesn't just love this kid, like I'm trying to remove the love of A by replacing with the love of B, I try to make sure that I bring B to an extent to be in the same equilibrium with A. They have to be on the same level. They compete for each other. Then that love will come reciprocate to B by making things be on the same level. So bringing an alternative which is almost the same as A, though different.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Then number two thing that we do is we can use a rhythmic kind of music. Sometimes when this behavior comes in, that rhythmic kind of music, slow, calm. This will calm this child. So anytime this child wants to depict the behavior, the music is there. It's an alternative. And the child will calm down. Then number three, it is also a kind of being restrict. You become very strict with the learner. If you do this, then something else will happen. For example, you may look for an alternative. We say being strict in such a way that, for example, let me use an example, Mr. Ron. So, let's say, for example, I want to use you as this is a repetitive behavior you have. And I know it's not a good behavior with a man sitting like that. Right?
But it helped me ease my anxiety. It's my resting point.
Now you see? So how do I bring, how do I stop that? First, I'll have to educate you know exactly what I'm supposed to do. See, I'm educating you. And I know you are understanding. The good thing, these kids understand.
They do.
They understand.
They do.
But this is a routine. It is a behavior.
We are used to do that.
So every now and then I'll be like, no, don't do it. You know why you're doing it. So I'll use another word like, when you do like that, only women say like that. Because they're trying to hide something, right? So I'm using not a bad behavior, but I'm using a negative reinforcement, but just to make sure that I achieve something, to reduce that repetitive behavior, managing the repetitive behavior. Then another thing that we can use is also to find out why.
Yeah.
Why is it that, yes, why is it happening?
Yeah.
Why is it that when this happens, this happens for like regularly when this happens?
Yeah.
So can I stop this?
Yeah.
So when you stop the cause, then also the behavior also reduces and it stops at the end of the
That
day.
gets us back to if you think it is a sensory dysfunction issue or a sensory processing deficit issue, you address it, then probably the behavior will not be manifest.
We usually say it's a sensory processing issue, so that the behavior can stop manifesting itself.
Yeah.
That's it's a processing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What do you guys do in BGS to control this? Because I know it's quite something that comes.
Yeah, it's something that happens most of the time. And all I can say is that there are many ways. It just calls for you being very creative. You have to be very creative. You have to be patient with whatever you're doing. So when you are trying to tackle some kind of behavior that a student is displaying, I think it is important that, like we have said again and again, just identify first of all the trigger of the behavior.
Yeah.
And one way of curbing that is, I think, modifying the environment, because some of these behaviors are just environmental issues. A learner maybe doesn't want too much light, doesn't want a certain color. So if you just move that learner from that place to another place, or either dim the lights or use other different colors, then he's okay. So I think modification of the environment can work as well towards achieving the desirable behavior.
Sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. Also, like viewers said, just substituting whatever they are doing with something that is not maybe self-injurious. For example, when a learner is trying to rock in class or something, and you just want to get his attention, just give him a sensory break.
Yeah.
Take him to the swing.
Yeah.
Allow him to swing for like 5 minutes or 10, and then when you come back to class, you find your learner is very okay and very ready to learn. So I think it's just about creativity. Yes.
Yeah. Even you want to add anything?
In addition to that, some of the strategies that I use, for instance, is calming strategies, sensory therapy, applied behaviors, ABA. You can also integrate a structured routine. Yes, and also you can introduce small rewards whenever the behavior is managed, or the client is showing otherwise of what the behavior is. Yes, like slowly giving them rewards of you getting better, or you letting this go of this behavior that is making or hindering your learning. Yes. Yeah.
Also, Ron, it will be unfair to move without mentioning that sometimes when we are trying to change routines for such learners, we really need to prepare them.
Okay.
Before.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to prepare. Tell them we are doing this because of this. We shall do this differently because of this. So that they know what to expect. Just don't ambush.
Yeah. So that when it's not that when you're introducing that something new, you at least have them understand.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that happens because sometimes people assume that they will not understand, but they actually do understand.
They do understand.
Recently, when we were on our trip to Mombasa, Kilwa, for the school vacation, we actually even had visual images to just communicate to our kids that by this time we're going for this trip, you're going to go to the beach to swim, you're going to go to the swimming pool at this time, you're going to visit the waters to have some fun. So they have it in their mind.
Details. Using a train and this is how it looks like. They need to internalize.
I think when you guys have been presenting your ideas and your suggestions, I feel like at the end of it all, people need to understand what they are dealing with. They really need to fully understand. Because when Giwa mentioned something to do with the strictness that is required also in terms of just coming through to help manage some behaviors, either positive or negative, that might be there. I think what came to my mind is, and by the way, we are working with children who have limitations in social interaction and all those other things we define when it comes to the definition. But think about it. You're working with a child, you know this child has limitations in social interactions, and you're actually not strict. So if you give them their space as much as you want, the possibility that they have limitations in social interaction, they would take that to their advantage and fail to come through. And again, we know we have insisted many times in our episodes that there's a very huge difference between being strict and being abusive. Because with us, we in instances we are strict with our kids, trying to build skill, but that is not to say that you become abusive with a child. Now, from the fields that you guys are in, repetitive behaviors, do they affect your learning? Because I know you guys are teaching. I know somehow occupational therapists are also teachers, because we still teach a lot of skills. Do these behaviors affect learning? And how has your experience been anyway as a teacher? For you, Daktari, as an SLT plus teacher,
It is, and sometimes it can really get to you, especially when you've been managing. For instance, would have persons in the spectrum making very funny noises, and now when you're in speech therapy, speech is speaking, listening, and understanding. But then again, when you make that voice or those sounds, you're just barring me, listening from me, listening from what I'm telling you. So when I'm telling you how you can maybe address when somebody touches you wrongly, and you go like make those sounds, then you're not going to get what I'm trying to make you acquire in terms of communicating when somebody touches you inappropriately. You understand? So in the event that maybe it would ever happen, I would feel bad because this is something that I'd never taught you, but you'd always be barring me with the repetitive behavior of making those voices or those noises. Yes.
Oh, to you, Derek.
Yes, they do affect learning in class. And sometimes you're in class, you're trying to introduce a new concept. You all of a sudden a learner stood, is trying to look at you upside down. He's trying to rock, he's trying to push the table back and forth. And you're like, what are you trying to communicate? So it affects other learners. Remember, we don't have one learner per class. In as much as we do one-on-one learning, we have other learners per class. So the attention and the concentration of other learners is affected by this learner who is trying to distract others by displaying this repetitive and restrictive behavior. So it does affect, but as we have said, everything is manageable. That is where the OTs come in. That is why we are trained to manage such behavior. So it does affect, but it's not really a concern. I can say it's not a concern because we are able to do whatever we are able to do. Yes.
Mr. Principal, as we closely draw towards an end, you have something to say about that?
The truth is, the way my colleagues have said, it affects with a very big magnitude difference, because you realize that when they depict the behavior, the whole class will come to a standstill. That means even the teacher is distracted. Everybody is now facing the learner. They want to find out what is happening, what has gone wrong. Or did the teacher say something that triggered this? Is it the positive one or the negative one? So from my point of view, I'll look at it like, first, the causes of the behavior, because first you look at mostly it's medication. Medication changes the pattern of the learner, and that is also a trigger. The learner starts showcasing another thing. Then number two, the environment. So when you're looking at the environment, there are very many things in the environment. There are those children that don't just like color pink. The ones that are being affected by color red. You see that. So also the environment matters. Then another thing is the parent. The parents have placed these kids in a kind of a routine that when they they want that the same routine to continue. And this is different. This is a different place, different location. You see. So you realize that this behavior that we are trying to manage will affect the learner processing, the cognitive part, even the understanding, because a spectrum has just not affected the physical part, the cognitive, the learning part of this learner. So the repetitive behavior will affect the socialization part of this learner. because now the other kids will now start. It's like they want to leave this kid to be alone. Then the kid will accept to be isolated.
Yeah.
And that one has affected the learning part.
Yes.
We learn from each other. So where will this kid learn from? This kid are also this concentration. As long as you distract a kid, 1 + 1 was 2. Then there's that distraction. The next thing you'll be asking, 1 + 1 is 11. Because all the attention has gone to what is happening.
Yeah.
Even the kid himself will not be understanding what is happening.
Oh, yes.
Then apart from just concentration, socialization, the behavior.
Yeah.
Everything goes around. It is now narrowed to the behavior. So the behavior of the learner will not be that positive. As much as we say that this is a positive, repetitive behavior, the truth is it is not. Because every now and then, you do something, in the day that the teacher will not give you the reinforcement, it will not be positive.
Yeah.
It will be
Yeah.
negative.
Yeah.
You see, so it has affected the learning area of this learner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when you're looking at this, look also at the courses. How do we manage the courses?
Yeah.
Then we will work on executing the repetitive behavior.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
So Ron,
Yes.
some of these behaviors are self-injurious,
Sure.
self-harming.
Sure.
So a learner may be displaying some of them
Mm.
at the same time, hurting himself or herself,
Yeah.
or maybe even hurting
Others.
the others in
Yeah.
the class. So it does affect even their physical being and their, I can say their well-being in the class.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Don't forget, sorry, it also affects their communication.
Sure.
When they keep on saying 1 word or 3 words repetitively, even when the speech therapist is working with them, they'll find themselves speaking the same thing. They have made a mile, but they'll come 2 steps back because of the same thing.
Yes.
So it affects everywhere.
Wow.
Yes.
That is amazing, team. All I can say is that it's been a beautiful discussion, and I hope that you have gained something from this particular episode. I think what I am getting from the entire of this is that it is important to note what exactly is it that is causing these repetitive behaviors, even before you think about what are these things actually. Because yes, you might see them, but it is also important for you to know, why is this happening, or why is my child manifesting with this and that behavior? Because that will then help us to be able to know how to probably be able to intervene, or how to make their learning way better, even in the educational environment. I am tempted to ask you, how has it been for you working in Bloom and working in a facility that takes care for the learning of children with autism? In one word,
Please ask.
for me, I would say it's been quite informative and a beautiful experience. So I don't know what you guys would say about your stay here and your working here, because it's actually a stay. Yes, Derek.
Mine will come like a confession or something. Yeah. Coming into this field and into Bloom, eventually, I was nervous. I was initially nervous. But many aspects of my life were tested. Patience was tested. A lot of things were tested. But all I can say is that I've gained a lot of knowledge, and I've learned to accommodate a lot of things and different types of behaviors, different types of people in my life.
Yeah.
So it comes with it gives you a lot of compassion, and I think it's life changing that I'm
Nice.
working with the learners.
Nice.
With that.
Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing. Dr.
It has made me learn that there is a lot in a human physiology. Our brains are structured different, and we are all different. We are never the same. Yes. So being at Bloom, my bucket of patience has been bigger. Yes, and my understanding of person in the spectrum has been way better than even the way we learned it in school.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm informed. Yes.
Mr. Principal, even as we come to a close.
I think mine has been like a fulfilling. It's been satisfying. Yes, because I've realized that each learner has something God gave him, different from what this other kid has. Because you realize that each learner kumbe has a skill hidden. They only need someone to come and ignite it.
Yeah.
When you ignite this skill, you will see wonders. They're even better than the tutors. Yeah, because they are doing amazing. So being in this field in Bloom, and also give me that opportunity to give these learners what we are giving, has shown that each learner is blessed differently
Yeah.
and gifted differently.
Oh, yes.
And they can do much better given an opportunity.
Oh, yes.
Just give these learners an opportunity. You'll see wonders. You'll be amazed. Thank you, Mr. Ron.
Wow. Thank you so much, our viewers. And if you're looking forward to be part and parcel of these beautiful testimonies and the good work that our teachers and everyone who is involved here, the occupational therapists, the speech and language therapists, and our applied behavioral analysts as well, who just come in to ensure that our kids get the very best, always feel free to reach out to us. As I say at the beginning, we are Bloom Garden Schools. We have our headquarters at Bloom Garden Autism Academy in Lavington. Feel free to just pass by. It's along Mudangari Road. And also feel free to reach out to us if you want to visit Bloom Garden International Schools. It's in Gatundu Road, and without a doubt, Bloom Garden Vocational Training Center in Nyeri Road. I hope I'm right.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for viewing this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment, because that is going to build up for our next episodes. Adios.